Well, good afternoon, wherever you guys are at. It's great to see you guys and be with you guys. I just wanted to let you guys know I've been out here in Scottsdale since September 1st, and I'm here for another week. And I have to tell you, I was over at my cousin's house, and we're out in his backyard, just outside of Phoenix, and we're just sitting there around a campfire, having some drinks, and we see this bright light going into the sky, and it's fast. It's faster than anything I've ever seen. I thought it was possibly a falling star, but it was way too bright. We figured it was some type of spaceship or something. Well, it's a draconian meteor shower that happened October 8th. And oh my gosh, this thing was huge. There was four of them, and they were just flying. And it was amazing just to see that. And here in this Phoenix area, Scottsdale, Arizona area, you can really see a lot of stars compared to the Chicago skyline. So I just wanted to share that with you. It was just very impactful and kind of scary too at first. But, there was trailing of like clouds, right behind it. Like I'm assuming it's like really, really cold up there. And as it was traveling through our atmosphere, it was like 50,000 or 75,000 feet up. It was amazing to see that. So I just wanted to share that with you. So as we're getting started with this whole week, I really want to just talk to you this week in regards to project planning and delegation. So, I'm sure all of you, depending on where you're at in your career fair, you're somewhere in your career, and either you're an employee or a manager or an entrepreneur or CEO. Wherever you're at, you really have to understand delegation and project management. So this week, we're going to talk about project planning, and the delegation of such. When you delegate tasks, you're empowering someone else to really act on your behalf, act as you. And as you move up the ladder, in your career, you're eventually going to be doing something that you'll be doing all the time. So sometimes you're going to have to hand some of these tasks down and believe in your team that they're going to be able to handle it for you or be a stand for them through that whole process. However, just because it's part of your job doesn't mean that you'll do it well right away. As a manager, you'll have a team of people that you will oversee. And with your new responsibilities, you'll realize that you can't take on every single project that comes across your desk. I'm speaking as a CEO, right? And as a manager, there's a lot of projects that are handed down to you. So this is where you'll need to plan and delegate. It's important for you to learn how to delegate tasks to someone else in your team and how to keep track of them. The goal should be to gain authority and efficiency and become less caught up in the day-to-day tasks and the extra projects that come across your desk. Impacting on a small business, you have to really identify it. So now at a small business owners may choose to delegate many of the tasks that no longer companies handle in-house. But because they are small, then let's say a huge corporation, a small business owner will probably weigh the cost effectiveness of delegating work that they could otherwise handle themselves. Now, with your company, you may be handing out things to other companies outside of your business, or you may be handling everything internally on a regular basis. So, and just to be clear, a lot of small business owners start off just themselves because they can't afford to hire other employees, which is part of the weighing of the costs of possibly hiring an employee to help you with these new tasks that you now have. And in some cases, when you hire this new employee, maybe you can't afford to hire employees, which is all part of weighing those costs and possibly hiring an employee or outsourcing something to do a certain task when the business gets off the ground and things just get really busy. I mean, today, I can tell you that things are getting busier and busier every single week. But for today's live stream, let's say a small business owner decided to hire an employee to take stuff on and to take their stuff off their plate and to get the help with the business, right? We really need people to help us with the business, and we either run out of time or we run out of team. So how should one hand off these tasks effectively so it gets done correctly and on time the first time? Well, you need to be clear in giving your instructions. You need to make your expectations known up front. This is a tacit agreement that one creates. You don't want to be micromanaging your employees because they're, how would you say, they're adding another value to you, another thing to your plate on overseeing them. You really don't want to be micromanaging them, right? So let them know exactly what needs to be done and how you want it to be done and the deadline for it. And if there's a lot of projects that need to be done, make sure you let them know which ones are more important so that they can be able to prioritize them themselves. See, you're robbing them of that ability when you micromanage them. If there's one thing that needs to be done first and that needs to be communicated up front right away, let them know which one, or let them know what your process is when you're going through this. So let's look at impacting on medium or large businesses. Now that we've covered how delegation impacts a small business, let's talk about that next size up. You've had some success, the business grew, and now you just don't have a few employees, you have a lot more employees, but there's actual departments within the company. As a CEO, sometimes projects come across my desk, and instead of trying to do it myself, I may, for example, hand off a project to my HR department, and maybe I'm handing it off to my sales department or my operations department or my marketing department, depending on what task or the project is. That will depend on which silo I put that in. Then the manager of any said department will delegate the necessary tasks of that time and off to someone else, or maybe they'll manage it themselves and how it should be done correctly. I'm empowering my managers to really make decisions when I hand off a task to them and in their department. And by creating this empowering environment, the team members become more motivated to go up and beyond. One thing I just want to let you guys know, once I delegate to a department head, they can delegate it to the team members underneath them. However, the manager is ultimately the person that is accountable for the project and the project's success or failure. The manager and the team member are essentially both responsible for the task or the project to be completed on time. But it's the manager that will be held accountable if it doesn't happen. So when we look at this, if a team member or the manager delegated a task and it falls short of what's supposed to actually happen, the manager will either have to delegate it to someone else to get it done or do it themselves. That's why it's so important to delegate effectively and assign the right tasks to the right person. There's always someone that is going to be able to handle any project, but sometimes other people have other things going on as well. There has to be actionable tips for delegating. So now that you might be saying, but Jim, I'm not sure how to delegate correctly. Don't worry about that. I'm here to help you. And delegation is a key management skill, but for some, it's the hardest thing to put into practice. Take it from me. I tried for many years to delegate, and I felt no one else could do it as good as I did. So I overwhelmed myself and I ran out of time. As that happens, you expand your team. And when you expand your team, you get some of that time back. So to start, you need to know what to delegate. You don't want to delegate tasks or projects that are time sensitive or that include confidential information. Once you figure out what tasks you're going to hand off, you need to pick the right person at the right time to handle it. Choosing the best people on your team for the job is the key to effectively delegating. You want someone who will be confident and will get the job done well and will be self-motivated internally. So you don't really need to be constantly looking over their shoulder. You really don't. They don't like it, and it takes time away from you and what you're up to. Part of being a manager is knowing your team, their strengths and weaknesses. One person might be better to fit for a certain task, while another person who's better fit for other tasks. It really depends on what project you are delegating. So know your team. So don't just take something and say, well, Jim Becker said delegate, so I'm just going to delegate everything off to this person. No, you have to be selective. Just like you don't go to the dentist to get your tire repaired for your car. Be very selective on how you do this because everybody is different. In a world of humanity, we're all equal, absolutely. But some of us like other tasks better than other tasks. So when you're looking at this, know your team. Once you have the task and the person you're giving it to, it is absolutely critical you are clear in your communication to them. They need to know exactly what needs to be done, how to do it, and if there's any uncertainty, and what is the deadline when the task actually needs to be completed. If you don't hand off tasks with clear instructions and expectations up front, you'll probably be caught up into a position of ongoing oversight. And you really don't want that. You want to have security, knowing that your team member is going to be able to handle that task that you handed off, and that they'll be able to figure out exactly how to do it effectively and efficiently and complete it. If a task you delegate, you will need specific resources to be completed. Make sure that those are available to whoever is handling it. Make sure that they have access to those resources. Otherwise, you're leaving them on an island by themselves. The last thing that I really want to cover, there's going to be a time where the team member, maybe when you handed it off, maybe a project or something, is not fully prepared to get it done. There will be frustration on both ends, on their side, because they really don't have the time or the resources or the know-how to get that task done. And this may push back the deadline a little bit. Be careful on those deadlines and how many times did you change that deadline? I see this all the time writing software. You have to look and say, is that deadline reachable, obtainable? Now, even though this person may excel in finishing a task, you need to understand that the employee may fail. And failing, every time that you have a breakdown, you have the possibility of a breakthrough. Truly, success is 99% failure. Let them fail. Let them feel that. And this is okay. Failure teaches people things that success cannot. Things happen and nothing is perfect. Just make sure your employee is empowered and motivated. Motivate your team so that they don't feel like giving up. How many times have you felt giving up? I felt giving up several times on several projects. And usually when I have to figure out how to do something, I need to find the who to help me with those. Be patient with your team. People are not born with the ability to walk. They have the ability to learn, though. Just like your employees, they aren't hired knowing everything about the company and how all the processes work. With time, your employees will become more familiar, and over time, these tasks or similar ones like that will get done a lot faster. When it's all said and done, you want to make sure you give feedback and ask for it in return. This is a great 360. Just because you are the manager doesn't mean you can't take anything away from it as well. And make sure you give your employee credit and acknowledgement for their work. Small gestures, such as just saying thank you or recognition, can go a long way. I'll make the employee feel good about accomplishing a new task, and they'll want to help out even more in the future with these tasks. And it's a task that they own. So that ownership happens. So in conclusion, in delegation, it's not the easiest skill, but over time with practice, you'll get better at it. And the workflow will be smoother process for everyone. You'll eventually know your team's weaknesses and their strengths. And when you hand off a task, you'll be able to align those with the right people each and every time. So with that, I just want to take a look and see if we have any questions, comments, or anything else. Let me just take a look here. And thank you very much. This is great. I love this. So we call it a learning opportunity. There is never failure. I love it, Elizabeth. Thank you, Liz. Failure teaches people that which success cannot. Well said. I love it. And then we have another one. We call it a learning opportunity. There's never a failure. Absolutely. So we also have another one. When's a time when having insurance really paid off? Well, you have to have, I think that's from another trail, but that's okay. So let's just call it, when has delegating really paid off? When you're starting a new project or a milestone and you really want to get things accomplished, if you break down this delegation into pieces and you have a project and you break it down into 5 pieces, you can give those 5 pieces to 5 different members on your team and have a deadline. Deadlines are always important and they can be extended, but you want to let them know when that's due. So really important. Break it down to the simplest terms. You don't want to break it down to the point where you could have done the task yourself, but you want to break it down so that you're empowering people as you go along. So as you move up in the company, if it's our company or if it's another company, maybe you're an employee wanting to be a manager. As you move up, try to get more responsibilities. And it's inevitable that you're going to have to delegate some of those as you move forward as well. So do remember, always delegate, and do it with an upfront contract, right? Let them know what you're thinking, what you want done, and that they can come to you for questions. So in the comments below, I want you to just think about a time when you've had to delegate a task to an employee and it didn't go as planned. What were your failures? What was your company's failures? Share it in the comments below so that other people can learn from all of our failures. And with that, I just want to thank you very much. Thank you for being here. You made it this far in the video. Leave a comment. Hit the like button. And if you really like the content, hit the share button. Share it on your profile. Let other people in your network know what's going on and how this could probably help them in their career as they move forward. With that being said, today's Monday. It's a great day. I hope you each have a great week and a blessed one at that. Thank you very much and have a great day.